What's up, everybody? This is Mastery and Gamer. We just got the D.Mon reveal cinematic showing off the fight between Mecha Squad and the Junkers and giving us the proper full reveal of D.Mon as the next upcoming new hero. Now, we have not gotten her gameplay trailer just yet. This is mainly just the cinematic introducing her and showing off the character. And show off it does indeed, but there is quite a bit to discern here, including some likely elements that we'll be seeing in her kit. So let's go ahead and run through the trailer here, breaking down everything we learn, both in terms of the hero and the story. Starting off with D.Mon herself. Yes, let's tackle this one, because as hyped as I've been for D.Mon, I'm frankly feeling a little conflicted about this mech design. Curiously, we don't even get a particularly good, full frontal shot of D.Mon's mech in this cinematic. We get a few quick shots that we can sort of freeze frame here and get a decently good look at the mech itself, but there's no shot during the cinematic where it's standing there front and center for a prolonged moment for us to sort of admire it. But we can see pretty well what the mech looks like here from a couple of the still frames. And the pilot is very exposed. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about D.Mon basically being entirely exposed, sitting in this some sort of glorified bipedal wheelchair. It instantly made me think of the Bart Simpson skin from Fortnite when I saw it, the way she's just sort of awkwardly sitting in it. And utterly fails any sort of realistic mech design in terms of that D.Mon herself would not even be remotely protected in something designed like this, because her whole body basically is just exposed in the center. It's a far departure from the hulking, heavy, bulbous mech of her original design, which we'd seen in past comics and animated shorts, and has definitely leaned into a thinner Gundam-type mech physique. Heck, even compared to Diva, it's pretty remarkable just how exposed D.Mon is in the design of this mech, and it makes me really curious how that's going to actually affect her hitbox in-game. Diva, of course, has the front windshield as her critical point on her actual model, so will the entirety of D.Mon's exposed body be her crit box for her? I don't know. I'm very curious. Mind you, I understand that Blizzard, of course, had to redesign D.Mon's mech because the original mech design was just not feasible for the game of Overwatch in terms of how big it was and the fact that it could not fit on actual Overwatch maps, so it gets stuck in basically every doorway that exists. But I'm feeling kind of iffy on this redesign. Maybe if there was just sort of more protection in the center area, with, some sort of plating over D.Mon herself, that would make it feel more properly like a mech, because as it is, this really just looks like a glorified exosuit, kind of like a power loader, basically, from Aliens or something, which can be cool in its own right, but doesn't really hit that mech design that I was kind of hoping we would see with her mech here. I don't know. I don't want to nitpick too much on that. That's just one element of the design. The other major thing we can take note of here are the abilities, which we don't actually get a particularly clear look at her abilities. Mind you, the gameplay trailer has yet to come out at the time of me doing this video, but we can very clearly see from the cinematic that she does indeed have a large energy sword and shield. Both of those are elements that have existed forever in her design as a mech in Mecha Squad, and it is cool to see that they are both being retained here. The shield especially is very Reinhardt-esque with the design of it, and looks like it's probably going to function pretty similar to how Reinhardt's does, though it does look to be a bit smaller, more square-shaped as opposed to the huge wide rectangle that Ryan has. And then she does also have the sword, which, melee weapon like Reinhardt's hammer, but all with the added ability to fly, as she is a Mecha Squad mech, all of which can fly. So I'm getting the strong impression here that D.Mon could very well end up just being flying Reinhardt, which could be interesting. We do see her sort of punch Wrecking Ball at one point later in the cinematic. I don't know if this is a specific ability that's being alluded to here. She has some sort of aerial spike ability that maybe is her ultimate for all we know. Or maybe this is just her being cool and epic in the short itself and isn't actually an ability. We won't know until they release the kit. But the other important detail I do want to note is she does have a substantial wrist-mounted weapon here which maybe is just the shield. This is the arm she holds up to hold up the shield, and like Reinhardt, there's clearly a sort of like shield mechanism on the arm, but there also looks to be a cannon of sorts pointing out over her wrist, which I'm guessing is some sort of ranged weapon, whether that's a flamethrower, some sort of projectile-based thing that shoots out damage-dealing ranged somethings. I don't know. We don't see her use it at all in this cinematic, but it is pretty clearly part of her design here. So I'm going to wager whatever her kit ends up being, it's going to incorporate some kind of ranged weapon mechanic that is probably going to come out of this wrist-mounted whatever this is. That is unfortunately basically the extent of info we get here on her actual kit and abilities. Some other details to note about D.Mon's design. We can see pretty clearly at the end when she's outside of her mech that she does have a sort of like half headset where it's only over her left ear that she actually has the headset and kind of antenna component, which to me at least looks very odd. I mean, I guess it's deliberately asymmetrical because it kind of plays with the way her hair is styled, but there's certainly some shots where it just looks bizarrely asymmetrical with the way it's sticking out like this sort of like side antenna. I don't know. I mean, I guess we haven't seen her in-game model yet, so I'm curious how it's going to look in that regard. But I do feel it looks kind of goofy design-wise here. We can see it again in the end shot, where we get this big, vibrant splash art of D.Mon and D.Va and the other Mecha Squad mechs. She definitely has a very distinct asymmetrical head design with the only one-sided headset, whereas D.Va's is symmetrical on both sides. But talking a bit now about the character and story, we do see in this short that D.Mon is a pretty reckless, sort of loose cannon type character, it seems, where we see her blatantly defying orders in the cinematic to help civilians on the bridge, despite her commanding officer ordering her to come back to Mecha Base, which I think gives us a decent idea of what to expect from D.Mon interaction-wise and character-wise going forward. She's someone who's hot-headed and willing to jump out and do what she thinks is right, rather than follow orders, which, you know, is a character archetype that I'm sure we're all familiar with from one story or another. Her actions, however, while they do end up losing them the EMP, which gets stolen by the Junkers and handed off to Talon, does result in Mecha Squad capturing Wrecking Ball, which is perhaps my favorite thing out of this entire cinematic. Wrecking Ball being taken prisoner and hiding inside his mech, basically, while they're figuring out how to extract him and basically question him about the invasion that just took place. I am fascinated to see where this goes as like a story beat. Are we going to get Mecha Squad interrogating Hammond? If so, how is that going to work? I am quite eager to see where it goes from here. I do still think it's kind of lame that the Junkers are just straight up working for Talon here. I'd originally speculated myself that the Junkers were going in defiance of Talon and doing their own thing with stealing the EMP and all that. But no, it seems the Junkers, despite their nature, are just working for Talon, I guess. I feel like it's extremely out of character for the Junkers and the Junker Queen to do this, but yeah, whatever is what it is. I think it would have been way more interesting to see some actual conflict and need to adapt Vendetta's plans during the story we've been getting this year. But nope, I guess everything just goes perfectly the way Vendetta says it's going to, with no resistance from any of the factions she says are going to work for her. So, but either way, it does end with Talon acquiring the EMP. And yeah, that seems to be where things are taking off from here. Overall, very exciting that we've finally gotten the proper reveal of D.Mon's mech and more of her personality and character design. I'm certainly excited to hear your thoughts on her design in the comments down below. How do you feel the mech looks? Do you like the design of the mech with the very exposed pilot cockpit area? Or are you more like me, where you kind of prefer the bulkier original version of her and feel a little underwhelmed with how they redesigned her? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, be sure to subscribe, hit up that bell icon, follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss out on any future Overwatch news, streams, and other content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.